Cool. Did you guys enjoy that? Who has to pee? Hold it. 5 minutes. If you have to leave, I don't care. It's cool.
Let's just start from the beginning. How did you and Alana connect? Did you just get this script randomly, or did you know her, or what was the backstory?
So basically, I was in post-production for season 5 of Better Things, and I got the script, and thank you. Anybody who throws their hat in the ring at me, I'm like, oh, you like me? Cool. So I read the script. I really loved it. I thought it was really funny and real, like I could see it. Anything that I have a feeling about, it's like an instinct that has become a muscle for me through the years, since just being myopically an actor. And you know, what I would say to you, what I would say to anybody is don't be so myopic, but sometimes that builds other muscles. And so I just was like attuned to the fact that if I get a feeling about something and it's resonating inside of me, I know it's gonna work. And I was able to connect on this piece. We found Michelle Buteau, who is, ew! What's wrong with her? Nothing. She's just like, I don't know. And we were like, you know, foot on the gas, over accelerated, because we had to get her shot out back to LA to start shooting her series. And I was like, what the fuck am I walking into? And it was worth it, because we had her, we had Alana, like these two masterful, comedic poets, kind of playing off of each other. We had a script that was written and locked, and then there I was, the person who was going to ground it all, let them play in the big broad shit, and then keep everybody, you know, in the world that we could all like see ourselves in.
Michelle, she and Alana had been friends for a long time, right? Like that's, I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I just heard it. I mean, I didn't know anything. I was with them at South by, and they were like, we came up in comedy together. And I was like, I didn't know anything.
I love that. I mean, because a lot of times in a lot of things she's done, she's kind of brought in to like sort of make the comedy pop a little more, or just something like that, and just beef up a scene. But I love seeing her get to dig into a character like this, like actually like act. And
are you talking about Michelle?
Michelle, yeah, Michelle.
Yeah.
Just
I remember seeing. So my friend Susie's here. Her stepsister Jenny, who lives in Glen Cove, and her daughter Casey are here. What's up? But anyway, I remember like, wait, why did I say that? I just shouted out Jenny and Casey. Fucking totally threw me. Oh, Michelle. Yeah, she is just somebody that was not on my radar at all, and became somebody who I was able to, I mean, in the first place, she had 3.5-year-old twins when we were shooting this. So she was gone. She was just like, she was like ayahuasca in a K-hole. Like everything was happening to her that she was able to like kind of keep raising the level. And it was an extraordinary thing to be around and be a part of. And, you know, I mean, not on my radar at all. I mean, Alana in my house, I have 3 daughters, was like a Jesus. So she was like, you know, that was a no-brainer. And Michelle, the reason I brought up Susie, I remember. So one night, me and Susie and our friend Paula, who's like a serious documentary filmmaker, we were hanging out and we were like, what should we watch? And she was like, I don't know, let's watch Marry Me. And I was like, what the fuck? You make movies about nuns who get buried in wells because, like, the Pope doesn't want them to talk about the Catholic Church, like, serious shit. And she's like, let's watch Marry Me with J-Lo. I was like, all right. So we watched Marry Me, and I was like, this is gonna get me in practice for like making Babes, which I hadn't shot yet. And we watched it, and the best part about that movie, forgive me, was the blooper reel during the end title credits. And I saw Michelle Buteau. And I was like, oh shit, this is what she does. This is what people do. And I remember that and holding that as the kernel of what I was going into to work with Michelle. There you go, bye. Don't talk about.
When you shot this, Alana also had was a fairly new mother as well. So they both were. And I'm going to say this because I've heard you say it on this press tour that you are more of an older mom. And so were you able to sort of inject a few more wiser things about raising a toddler and like all that into what they were doing as well?
Yeah, it was kind of like, you know, when they would bind people's feet or, you know, give women thalidomide when they were feeling, you know, what's it called when you're sick, when you're pregnant?
No.
I don't even fucking remember, it was so long ago. Morning sickness! There you go, Steve. Which lasts forever. So, you know, I grew up with that kind of stuff, and I had a mom who was an incredible, she didn't, you know, she came from England, she was a war baby, she didn't taste an orange until she was 12, all of this stuff. Then she came, she met my father in Paris, they got married, she moved to America, she didn't know anybody. And she was sick the whole time with my brother. Well, first she had a back alley abortion in the 50s in New York City, which was, you know, she knew that she wasn't ready. And then when she was ready, she married my father and she had my brother. And she was sick the whole time. And then she still had me, and she never took any pills or anything. So it's like the women who paved the way for other women is what I'm talking about. Don't freak out because I said all the fucking things I said, that it has nothing to do with anything but women making choices. And that's a part of this film, and also a huge part of this film is when you are a friend to somebody. And particularly from youth, when you're growing up, and it's your buddy, and then you grow up, and if you're lucky enough to keep somebody for that long through your life, and then all of a sudden, oh, they get a partner, oh, they have a baby, oh, another baby's coming, and you're like, hello, hi, remember I was your witness, I was your bro the whole time. But you really want to go over here, and that's why the relationship between Michelle and Hassan is so beautiful, because they adore each other. And Hassan is not just, you know, as Marty is not just like a schlumpy partner, he's like a real person, and he's lovely, and he's giving space, but they're exchanging, and then the embrace of that, and that moment when Eden, Alana's character, says, best friends are so fucked over in real life, is such, like, I related to that so much because of the people in my life and my children. I have 3 daughters, and it's just all of these things that really kind of build relationships, and I think it's true for anybody, for men and women, but particularly this is a female film. It's about women, it's about their relationships, it's also directed by a woman, which is what thank you. I guess I'm a woman now. Taken me a long time to admit that.
Yeah.
I guess. Cool.
I mentioned it in the introduction that, I mean, you have directed, according to IMDb, 44 episodes of Better Things. And I mentioned it, I genuinely believe that each of those is almost like a standalone short film. And so to say this is your first, it is your first film, feature film, but I'm wondering, was it that different for you? Or were there things that were very different? So what were the similarities and differences, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, it's, you know, on Better Things, it was just this kind of journey, like, that do you guys, I mean, for me, I'm thinking of the Incredible Hulk when I was growing up, and like, when he would become Lou Ferrigno and his clothes would, and he would, that's what it was like for me making Better Things. Or Ed Norton, whichever one. Whatever's your preference. But, or the lady, the She-Hulk. He's another one, I know. I just think it's all kind of, you know, people, I still feel like I'm trying to tell people what the thesis of the way I look at things and the way I want to tell stories is. And again, going back to being a woman, how particular it is that, well, explain to me what the next show you want to make, what the next movie you want to make. It's all part of what I am, who I am. So I've been making things since I was a kid. This is my, I guess, this kind of feature directorial debut, but like, you know, I was shooting things on 8mm and 16mm, and I made a documentary when I was 18 that we shot on 16mm, cut it on 16, we had to do the sync, everything. So it's all led up to this, and I was able to do this, and this is really fucking hard. It feels like even harder than it was before now. Like, it feels like it's going back to the white middle-brow gentleman. I love you guys, but it's still fucking so hard to be a woman and to have these jobs that are guiding, which feels natural. And so, I know, like, it's not pithy. I'm sorry if I keep dropping steaming hot turds of truth into thingies, but I don't know how, I'm in my 50s. I don't have a lot of time, so I just want to work.
It has been said that, well, and I agree, when I watch this, I agree that I think the style of comedy that Alana is known for and the style that you are known for, your approach to it is different, but this film is like the perfect blending of the two, because like I said in the intro, again, a lot of what's happening here, like, what happened between those two, it sounds like, or some version of it. And you also did, like, all those stories you just told about your family, that's all in your show. If you haven't seen it, it's all in your show. But I'm just wondering, like, were you sort of conscious of that like, oh, she's doing a lot more of these kind of jokes than I would normally do, but we're gonna make it work. And were you kind of aware of that at the time when you were making it?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love that because, I think Broad City was on before I started doing Better Things. And, I would look at that and compare myself and say, I can't be in front of the camera. Nobody's gonna be interested in what I do. And I remember Aziz's show being on Master of None and kind of just like looking at other shows and comparing and looking at like the big bits, if that's what you're talking about, like the broadness. And so I started embracing that kind of stuff in my show and knowing that I could do it in a way that, being an actor, like a child actor and coming up and, doing things that were kind of cheesy or whatever, or I just wanted to be part of things. And then I kept getting fired. Just for like weird reasons for not being, like pretty enough or like a girl enough or for being a female. It was crazy stuff. Like I got replaced by Sinbad one time. How the fuck? My career is so weird. It's so weird. But when you take these two things and, Broad City and Better Things couldn't be farther apart, but they're really connected because they are about women. And so it's a matter of how you see things. So, in my life, the way I have looked at things and, raising 3 girls by myself, being a single mom and also raising my mom, and being a part of their lives, you'll go, Jesus, you really want to do, like, jump off a whatever with a parachute, anything but be there. And then I started looking at my life in an observational way, completely engaged and there, but I would step back. Like I always think about, Diane Keaton walking out of her body, sitting next to the bed. That was kind of me the whole time, the way I look at things. And one day, my mother was talking to me and I was like, oh, what if I smashed my face through the window of the kitchen, by the Buddha, by the soap dispenser, by my sink? And then she kept talking and I realized, oh, this is funny. This is funny if I'm not me. So that's kind of a way I approach all of it. It's just a way you look at things. So anyway, is this school? What the okay, sorry, Steve. This is the worst one.
One of the things I realized watching this film was that pregnancy is like an untapped source of physical comedy. And you tapped it. Like,
pregnancy means you've been tapped.
Yeah. That's it. But yeah, it's an endurance test. I mean, a lot of times in movies they treat
because it's gross.
Yeah, that too. The gross. Yeah, that's one thing I remember about some of the reviews out of South by Southwest, were that you got into like the juicy details of being pregnant. And, but again, was that in the script already, or is that something you're?
Yeah,
like, let's do it.
Josh Rabinowitz and Alana wrote the script, and they were both newly, freshly, covered in amniotic fluid parents. And, you know, I've already like made pancakes out of my placenta and my cord blood's dripping from the walls. I've done it for so long, but it's like, I don't know why, but pregnancy, you've got to do it in a way that, I don't know. I mean, there's so many breeders out there, and then there's so many unlikely breeders. Like, I was an unlikely breeder. Like, I never imagined myself as a mom. Like, I was like, I'm gonna get married one day, and I'm gonna meet a guy, and have 3 kids, and he's gonna leave and take all my residual. Oh, sorry. But yeah, pregnancy is gross because it's a female thing. And so I think gross female things are in now, including being in your 50s. And
Woo! Yeah!
Sorry.
One of the things that I love about the film is that you have these fights between these best friends, and even the way they fight is funny because you kind of excel at making like the awkward and the dark and the uncomfortable hilarious. And so what they're fighting about and how they fight with each other, because you can't fight like that with anyone but the person you know best in the world. And tell me about fine-tuning those arguments to make them uncomfortable and hilarious. And you do that all the time. Like, I think that's one of your most beautiful traits, is making that stuff funny. So
Thank you.
Yes, but you do it in this movie a great.
Thank you. Well, you know, I'm not afraid of, you have to earn it with the rest of the story, but, you know, having an uncomfortable silence, like I call it sitting in the fart. You know, it's just, it's awesome to like let one loose.
How do you point at me when you say that?
You're there. It's just like, it's so interesting to me to see what people are going through. I like to look inside people's heads, and uncomfortable moments are, I feel like we're softening the edges in the world, in art, in everything. The world's edges are getting sharper around us that we can't control. And so if we're trying to wrap everything in muslin and butterfly wings and things that soften us, it's doing everybody a disservice. It's really scary to think that, you know, like the way I grew up with like Aesop's fables, Grimm's fairy tales, things like that, people are trying to not have, you know, kids feel uncomfortable, adults feel uncomfortable. It's like people need to be there for each other, to know that it's okay, to have a relationship where you can actually tell somebody what's making you feel bad or uncomfortable, but do it in a way that you know you want to come back from. It's not earned to you that you can just shit on somebody and walk away and they're gonna be there for you. You gotta leave some kind of reassurance or a light on, like Tom Bodett, Motel 6. That's good.
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta write that in my notes folder. But, you know, you just, having those real moments where you can interact with people. I feel like, you know, I'm somebody who used to be and can be withholding of my own feelings, and that's my own fear of confrontation, and that's me from the way I grew up with a dad who was very overbearing. So I feel like if you know who had my dad. I mean, if you guys saw my Finding Your Roots, I have many relatives that I don't even know about, but it's like my dad was like, I can't handle that kind of confrontation. So that's interesting to me that people can go into that and come out of it, and you still have the people there who love you. You just have to go about it in a way that you're accountable for and that you can come back from.
The last thing I want to ask you is not so much what the message of the film is, but what do you hope people, as they're leaving the theater today, are thinking about that maybe they hadn't thought about before, considered about any of the things brought up in this movie? What do you hope people are thinking about?
Well, I just, if this inspired anybody in any way to write your story, to think about your life, to think about your family, your friends, whatever you want to do in your life, don't be so myopic that things have to be one way. There are so many ways your life can go, and leave enough grace and space around you for your friends. And it's like, you could meet like your really good friend's new partner and be like, oh fuck, do I have to? They're coming cool. So you go through that stuff, and it's like, try to transport yourself into the future and get past your own feelings. What's it holding you back? The person that you love wants to be with that person. Unless they're into Nazi porn, it's fine. That's my line. I don't know about you guys. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you so much, Dan, for coming.
Why is that?
Let me say one more thing. The film actually opens on May 24th, and it will be opening here at the Music Box. So, come see it here. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, everybody.